it's been a year since I've been here, and it's great to be back. And I want to say congratulations to Soren and his crew for this decade of really, really fantastic work that they've done here. And may it continue, and may it evolve and grow. So we're here to have a discussion around embodied leader. So let me propose that we embody ourselves here. So if you're willing, put your gear on your seat and let's stand. So we'll do a centering exercise here, and we'll do this for the sake of getting present, and not present just as an idea or a good thing to do at the moment, but we actually live in the present moment. To stay open to possibilities, and to be connected to what we care about, and remembering what we care about. And we're going to center on 4 dimensions, and these 4 dimensions exist in all living things. That means length, width, depth, and an organizing principle. For human beings, we would say this organizing principle is purpose. So just let your hands come free and bring your attention to your length so that you feel that the head is just over the shoulders over the hips over the knees over the feet. So that probably makes a lot of common sense to you that we would do it that way. But if we look around in the world, we see heads are forward this way, or pelvis is pushed back. So when we start to align this way, we come into harmony with the energy field of the planet, which is gravity. So when we're in our length, we call this the line of dignity, human dignity, is that we're both straightening and we're settling. And let me ask you to do this with your eyes open. So in this call to action that we're practicing being present, open, and connected while we can take skillful action in the world. And in length, in the straightening, feeling the space between your vertebrae, or sensing that. In settling, let your eyes relax. Come behind your eyes. Feel a softening in the eyes that opens the peripheral vision. Systems designed that the teeth never have to touch. So a little space between the teeth, the tongue's relaxed. And maybe about half an inch, bring your shoulders up. Out breath, let them drop. Systems designed that the breath happens in the abdomen. It's a diaphragm effect. So letting the breath drop. And the system's designed that the mass of the body, our muscular system, is resting on the skeletal system. So it's not mass holding up mass, all the way from we're wrinkling our foreheads or biting down on our jaws, our shoulders are up. So feel, sense, or imagine that your muscular system, the mass of the body, is resting on the bones. And for a moment here, let's go to both polarities, which is try to be taller than you are, or try to be above things. You're kind of reaching up, trying to strive by getting above. And now let yourself shrink a little bit, like there's a ceiling and you don't want to be seen. Now come back to your proper length. In Japanese, we call this tenchi, or the bridge between heaven and earth. Our feet are on the ground and we have a moral and spiritual vision. Now let's go to our width, and let's start with our feet. In any of this, if you feel like just kind of jiggling in there, go ahead and do that. Feel the balance between the left foot and the right foot. The balance at the knees. The balance at your hips. at the rib cage, your shoulders, and your head's on straight. And I'd like you to feel or sense or imagine that you can feel the person next to you. That what the warmth that's radiating off of them, the electromagnetic current, the aura, if you will, the energetic field, you can touch into that. So the horizontal plane has to do with our sociability, how we connect with others, how we make boundaries. Who do we let in? Who do we keep at some kind of a distance? How do we make those choices somatically? So let's do this as an extreme. Draw yourself into your center line. Be real narrow. Draw your arms in. Draw your breath in. I don't want a big profile. I don't want to take up a room. I'm not sure about myself. Then go to the other extreme and try to artificially widen yourself. Try to be bigger. And then just come into that space that is the right width for you at this moment now. That's our width. Now depth, and because we have so many senses in front, all of our machines are in front of us, let's start with the back body. So bring your attention to your back body, backs of your legs, your heels. Those long muscles are next to the spine. Your history, all the people that have contributed to you, your teachers, your loved ones, your family. Rest back into your history that way. Settling into your back, and then open your heart here. What I mean by that is to bring your attention to the heart center, to the big pumps, to the lungs, to the heart. Let the belly relax. And again, as at extremes, let's do this. Come back on our heels. So you're a little bit reluctant. You're not very sure, maybe a little bit stubborn. I'm not going to put myself out there. Now come forward on your toes. I'm ahead of myself, looking for the next thing in my head. And then come back to your depth, your front and back. So that's length, width, and depth. We just started. You can join us if you would like. Take your hand and just put it below your belly button. This is the center of the body, center of gravity in the body. Different cultures, it's called the Koth or Tantien, Tanden, Hara. This is where we move from. And what I'd like you to do is now drop your hand, but keep your attention dropped. So you have a dropped, open attention. You're not in your head thinking. You're not wondering about things. Being present in the living moment that we can feel through our bodies. And remember or recall your purpose. Why are you on this earth walk? What would you say that is? And can you say that as a commitment? I'm a commitment to. Who is it that you're being? Who is it that you're becoming? You feel that you can locate that in your center. So when we center ourselves this way, it's clinically impossible to be anxious. That's the price of admission. So anxiety is when the breath is high and rapid. There's a low-grade contraction in the body, tension, and we're running these circular thoughts over and over again. So a very powerful, mindful, meditative practice. Now, let's do this. Put your left foot forward. And as much as possible, move back so you can feel the back of your chair against your backs of your legs, because we're going to do this. We're going to keep our length, our width, and our depth, and move your center forward. And now move it back and forward and back. So we're moving from center and back. Now, this is what I'm going to ask you to do now. Move your center forward and think that you're rowing standing up, as most people in the world do. And you're taking these oars right here, and you're pulling the oars back with your center and pushing it forward with your center and back and forward and engaging your breath. And hold. Now let me suggest that we all row together. So this is a call for action here. So when we get centered, people will often say, I'm centered and I feel calm. Fantastic. But you can be indignified. You can be upset and still be centered. You can fight for what you care about. You can take a stand for things and still be centered. So let me suggest that we row for environmental sustainability and social equity. Yeah. Let's move that center forward, take the oars, and back. One body together. Yes. Looks so beautiful. I've seen you all do this. Breathing free zone, you can breathe. Engage your legs, move the hips, move what you care about forward. And hold. Put your feet together, and let's just take a moment and feel. In whatever's running through you, breath, sensation, shapes, just allow yourself to feel that. That's life. That's our individual life and our collective life. Thank you. Go ahead and sit down. It looked fantastic to watch all of you rowing together this way. It was like a wave this way and a wave that way. So the embodied leader. The embodied leader, let me say that leader comes from the Middle English word to make things happen, to take action, leffen, to make things happen. I propose that we all hold ourselves as all of us are leaders. You're leading your life, you might be leading your family, you might be leading a parent organization. Some of you in this room, you're actually leading other people and companies. So leaders are those that take action. And what we're looking at is how do we take action that is skillful action. There's pragmatic wisdom, and there's grounded compassion. And we see conflict as a generative force, not something we're trying to avoid, but something that we can move into and find the creativity of that. Embodied. It's a curious thing to talk about embodied because here we all are, incarnated. What do we mean by embodied? We tie our shoes, we drive at high speeds, we get lunches for the children, and we're doing all of those things. So in the time that I have left, I would like to offer maybe 5 steps or even 5 stages that we can think about being embodied. Number 1 is that there's a symbolic body. And the symbolic body is best exemplified by a character in James Joyce's, who won the Nobel Prize, an Irish writer. And he talked about a Mr. Duffy. And he said, Mr. Duffy lived a short distance from his body. That's a symbolic body that we... In the post-industrial age, this is the person that has no deep relationships, no intimate conversations. a lack of purpose or meaning in their life, really head down, crossing T's, dotting I's, and feels fragmented and disconnected to others. And at some point, what we find is that there's an urge or a longing or a yearning in us, and we say, is there more? And here we could say, this is the body as object. And it's still no subject in the body, but it might show up as, if I pay attention to what I eat and how I eat, if I pay attention to what I drink and how I drink, if I pay attention to doing a mindfulness practice, I notice it changes me. If I start to do some kind of exercises and go to the gym, it changes me. So I take care of this machine. I take care of this machine in a way, and it actually affects me in a powerful way. Still, there's no subject there. It's an object. Then we could think of it, from here we move into a feeling, a learning performance body. And we begin to see as we move through our life that there are some things that if I learn, I will be a stronger agent, a stronger actor in the world. How do I make strong declarations? How do leaders make strong declarations in the world? How do we make grounded assessments of our situation that leads to more skillful action? And we begin to see that by doing this kind of a practice is that I actually build a skill. And in building this skill, it's still somewhat separate from what we call body. Here's an example from me, is that I went to school on an athletic scholarship college. I ran track. I ran in the pre-Olympic meet in the Central American Games. And I say all of that because I ran at an international level. I trained hard. Many people were better than me. But when I got my first Rolfing session, deep connective tissue work, my first Rolfing session, on the backs of my legs, an image appeared to me, and it was me in my uniform, my USA uniform, and it was from the waist up. I was a runner that didn't have legs. And that's what I mean, that we can have a performative learning body, or learning a skill, but not really, really being embodied. Even though I ran at those levels, I wasn't inhabiting my legs. Then we could move into what we would call an emotional body. And this is where everything begins to change and the current goes a different place. Because what happens in our emotional body is we begin to see that the self that we are, and our bodies are inextricably linked together. And it requires a whole different interpretation of the body. The previous interpretations were of the medical body, and God bless medicine, but they're of the medical body. This means the body represents the self, and now there's a subject that's here, that's present in this. And an example I'll use will be the example of I'm doing this work with these CEOs, C-suite people, and I go over to this one fellow because he looks a little bit disturbed as we're doing these different somatic practices. And I say, what is it? And he says he's fine, he's all that. And I said, no, well, I see this look on your face, what is it? And he said, when you teach me to stand like this, so I'm relaxed, but I'm alert, and I have more contact with people, and I'm a better listener, he said, I don't feel like a CEO. So I said, what does a CEO feel like? And he bit down on his jaw, got a stern, glinty look in his eye, and stiffened his spine and kind of stood up like this and said like this, is what a CEO. For me, that was eye-opener. Just an eye-opener. And it was like, oh, the way we shape ourselves, this shape, the way we shape ourselves is a worldview. And that worldview is reflected to us by the outside. I have a note that says, please wrap it up. Thank you. And I will say, until they get the cane and throw me out of here and tomatoes, number 5 is the energetic body. It doesn't mean energetic body like a spiritual bypass. It means we're feeling our life energy, our animating principle here. And from this place here, it's the place in which we can take action for environmental sustainability, where we can take action for social equity, that we are able to take actions with a certain kind of mood, and moving forward, now the sign's blinking. So thank you very much.